Tractate Avodah Zarah, page 32. We are 3 lines from the top of the page. Here we follow the Mishnah that tells us that here the list of things that the idol worshippers use, and therefore we are prohibited to drive any benefit. Asurim be'ana'ah vecheres hadrayani. It was a time during the Hadrian, the Roman emperor that ruled between 117 to 138 CE. So it's a well-known story how he behaved with Bar Kokhba and many other issues. His cruelty, his treating people that was for him. But anyway, it was a name that's called Cheres Hadrayani. There's a special earthware that it's Hadrianic. אמר רבי יהודה אמר שמואל חרס של אדריאנוס קיסר. It was an earthquake that Emperor Hadrian used, which is when they went to war, his soldiers used to take it. Now the question is why. So the Yerushalmi in Tractate Avodah chapter 4 describe how this famous city of Beitar, in Birkat Hamazon, we have a special section, but the end for those who terribly perished during that time. But he basically was the Roman emperor that destroyed that city during the Bar Kokhba time after destruction of the second temple. So they said, "Ki ata Rav Dimi amar karka betula ita shelo avda me'olam." In order to understand what happened, was a great rabbi by the name of Rav Dimi that he come to Babylon. He traveled from Eretz Israel, so he described the story. It was a property that was never been used, like a virgin soil, and avada u'neta'a. So he basically worked hard in till it and planted the grapevine. So since it's brand new, it's virgin soil, it turned to be very strong, high quality of wine. Rashi explained that it was not just high quality, it was extremely strong wine. So in order to preserve the wine, they place it in the white jugs, and jugs absorb the wine. So basically the way that they do it, that they have the full kosher sfiga, the full capability to absorb it. And then his soldiers used to break those jars into shards and carry the shards into them. So they used to carry it when they go to war. So when they reached the destination, they stopped, and obviously they sucked this shard in water and drank the water, which is basically the Meiri said that they combine it with hot water, so that brings the resonation, the taste of this heavy wine. So because this was a kind of a very big chokhmah, it was a sophistications that they way of observing it, and because it spread during the Mishnaic time, which is approximately about 1800 years ago, they call it Cheres Hadriani, the Hadrianic earthware. The Rambam said it's because of the inventor, the evil man, the Hadrian. But anyway, so here, since it's combined, the Tana wants to teach us, it's combined with Yain Akum, with the wine that came from idol worshippers. So therefore, as we learned several days ago, it's prohibited to use it even in a sense of driving benefit. So the Gemara extrapolates, tell us what exactly involved with that wine. Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi v'rishon shelanu ki shlishi shelahen. He wants just to give us an idea. Obviously, it's a kind of simile. It's not the exact, but our first straight wine is like wine produced by the third usage of their Hadrianic earthware. So it means even when you combine it with the jug, it's better than our best wine. That's the Tosfot read based on Rashi explains. So now the Gemara dealing with the Hagdarot, with the exact definition of Isurei Hana'ah, or driving benefit from that Hadrianic earthware. So since it's Ravui Beyayin Nesach, since it's combined with the wine that it's a libation for idol worshipper, so therefore they even you have a broken pieces, it's still balua benesach, it still contain this prohibited wine that's went for service of idol worshipping. So they said, so they ask a question, since we understand that it's prohibited to drive benefit, take for example a case, in those days they used to have a bed made with those special stands that so they take that shard and support the legs of the bed, and the question is, you deriving benefit, so they רוצה בקיומו על ידי דבר אחר, שרה או אסור. So here the big question is, it's called, Rashi described it beautifully. Thank you. Rashi said, על ידי דבר אחר ישראל רוצה בקיומו של יין נסך, ולא בשבילו, בשביל החרס ולשמיכה. So the big question is, he wanted, because he wants to be attached to that indirect Tractate Avodah Zarah, that it's contained that, or is nothing to do with that. So in other words, is that permitted or prohibited? So since there's no benefit derived from the wine observed in the shard, but the shard themselves are being used to support the bed. Tashmad Rabbi Lazar Rabbi Yochanan Chad Asar v'Chad Shari. So there's disputation between great rabbi, which we learned yesterday, Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Yochanan, one allowed, one did not. Now the next one is in parentheses, some put it in, some not. So in Vilna, Tfus, they don't do it. The Ran and Tosfot said yes, but Pilpula Charifta and Lechem Starim. Anyway, here they say V'hil Cheta Keman Asar. We go by Halacha, according to the opinion of the sage who is prohibited. Meitivei. So now bring another to Sefta. Had Hadar Durin Veharo Kvaot. So here we bring a jugs and flagons. So that's hamatot. That's that the idol worshipping shel of kochavim. Yain shel Yisrael kanus b'hem asur b'shtia mutar b'na. So if you have a wine from fellow Jews, so you cannot drink it, but you don't have an issue of deriving benefit. That's the view of Chachamim. And Tanakama followed the Chachamim. We'll learn it on page 29b. העיד שמעון בן גודל לפני בנו של רבן גמליאל, ששתה ממנו בעכו. So you bring a witness to Rabban Gamliel, drink from that ve'ako. So the question is, this is like the third view, that much lenient even from our Sedish in the Mishnah. So the Ritvaiv's three explanation as well as the Ravid. Velo dulo. Velo dulo meaning they did not concede to the ramification of his testimony. They basically did not, indirectly you're saying that they soon see the expansion of that, but they don't believe him. So they said, Nodot shel Ovdei Kochavim Rabban Shimon Gamliel, which the rabbi said is not the same one. It's a brother of Chamina ben Gamliel and father of Yudah Nasi, but not the Asara Uge Malchut. That's Tosfot tells here at the very end. So he said, Omer Mishum Rabban Shimon Gamliel Omer Mishum ben Kfusai Asur lasot behem shtichim lachamor. So he said that it's prohibited to make a fashion from them to use as a blanket to cover the donkey, as one desire benefit from them. So the Gemara asks, we will learn that if a person desires to continue existence for another matter, and if you go by the Braita, is prohibited to use for that purpose. So the Gemara said, well, Tamich, the way that we explain that Rotze b'kiyumo of the wine, it's agavano, this Bible, so say, kankanim shel Ovdei Kochavim litzru lemizban. So if that's the case, when you have those jugs that belong to those idol worshippers, it should be prohibited. The Jew cannot buy him. Why? Because Rotze b'kiyumo, they wants to have the wine and said, Mashna dot mashna kankanim. So what's the really difference between the nodot, the wine skins, which one may not derive indirect benefit, and jugs, not be sold benefit. So obviously, you have here Tosfot, but because Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel used the word nodot, which means the kankanim, it's not the issue. In general, you have here a difference between Ritva and the Ran. Ritva said that they use those kankanim for water. The Ran said that it's other purposes. But anyway, not everyone hold Ela. The Bach take it out. Amarava, gzera shemay bakan nodo v'itlenu v'itparenu al gabe nodo. So here is a special gzera that his own wineskin break open, and the wineskin of idol worshipper lest his own wineskin break open, and to repair it, he will take the idol worshipper wineskin and sew it into his wineskin. So basically that it caused the wine absorbed in the idol worshipper wineskin to mix with the wine that the Jew and rendered forbidden. ולמאן אמר רוצה בקיומו לידי דבר אחר אסור, מה ישנה קנקנים דשארו? So the one who said that the one that desired to continue with the existence of prohibition item, so why it's different when a jug that the purchase time is permitted? So Amar Lach, he said to you the difference between earthwork and the jug, hatam later leisura beinei, hatam ika leisura beinei. You have to differentiate between a very clear the jug, there is no substantive prohibited entity, and here with the Hadrianic earthware there is very clear that is substantive prohibited entity, as the wine is recognized in the earthware. Now we go to a total new sugya that we learn in the Braita that Shimon ben Guda gave a testimony before the son of Rabban Gamliel that he saw Rabban Gamliel in Akko that drink it. So he said, Velo dulo. They did not lock you blue at the They said, you're mistaken, you're wrong. Veramini, here was the Braita. Yain, which means wine for Israel. Haba beruk baot, that he in the past he used for yain akum, that in the flagons of idol worshipper, shel ovdei kochavim. So we follow the shita of the Chachamim, the Mishnah, the sages. Asur b'shtia mutar mana. You are prohibited to drink, but you're allowed to draw benefit. He'id Shimon ben Guda lifnei bno. He'id Shimon ben Guda lifnei bno shel Rabban Gamliel. Rabban Gamliel shata ממנו בעכו והודו לו. מה לא הודו לו דקמא רתם? כל סיעתו, אבל בנו מאוד אלי. So here they try to say that the idea that not concede with him, that apply to the sages, did not concede, the entire company. But his son conceded. Another option. So it means you should, the Meforshim said you should use the word Chazdei David, and others said Vehoda lo, it's Loshon Yochid, it's individual. Because he's individual against everyone else. Anyway. Ibaitem al lechud veguda, guda lechud veguda lechud. You have Guda with Aleph, Gimel Vav Dalet Aleph, and you have Guda with Ain. So it's two people that came to give a testimony in two different times in regards to the way that Rabban Gamliel behaved. The first one was Shimon ben Guda with Aleph, that we mentioned in the Braita. The second one is Shimon ben Guda with Ain. So the first testimony, the sons of Rabban Gamliel did not concede. The second one, yes. So then the Mishnah teaches us about the hide, the orot lebuvim. The hide with a tear opposite than heart are prohibited. Tanu Rabbanan Ezor lavuv. What exactly you mean to say that the hide that was tear opposite the heart are prohibited? So basically in those days, as we explained earlier in the Mishnah, they cut it, they take out the heart and the idol worship. So he said, Kol karua keneged alev vekadur kemin aruba. So it means that you have here that the opposite of the heart and insist in a shape similar to the aperture, in which has a tract of congenital blood on it. So because it's mean that they did it in such cruel way against seven Noachai that while the animal was alive, they did it in order to pull out the heart. That's basically the way that they idol worshipping. By the way, the Meforshim explained when we read about Yosef in the book of Bereshit, and they said that they don't, כי לא יאכלו המצרים, כי תועבה למצרים, so the Mephoshim said the opposite, that they used to violate the 7 halot by eating while the animal alive, cutting part and eat it, versus Yosef and family did never do that. Page 32b, אין עליו קורת דם מותר. If it does not have a trace of blood upon it, it's permitted. Because we assumed that it wasn't for the purpose of idol worshipping. אמר עבודה לא שאלו, excuse me, אלא שעדיין לא מלאכו. אבל מלאכו אסור, מלכו העבירתו. So he said all of that apply when all the blood was not put the salt. Because if he sold it, it's prohibited. We assume that salting removes the trace of blood. רבן שמעון גמליאל אומר, בזמן שהקרע שלו עגול, אסור, משוך מותר. So he said that you have to differentiate between, you have the cut, it's making circular or משוך, because if it's משוך is not an issue. We assume that they don't do it for the idol worshipping. אמר רבי יוסף אמר עבודה אמר שמואל, אחר כך רבן שמעון גמליאל, obviously that אחר כך רבן שמעון גמליאל, Tosfot said that it was 3 different Amoraim, and Rav Yosef, Rav Yehuda, and Shmuel, they disputed the idea that always halacha according to Rabban Shimon Gamliel, etc. So therefore, they need here to rule that way. Amar le'Abaye, halacha michal deflige. You say halacha because someone disputed it. Amar le'man nafkalach mina. Amar le'Gemara Gemara is like joking. It says, you repeat a song. It's like saying, if nobody else disputed him, so why you need to bother to say that halacha is follow him? It's obvious. Mishnah said, basar nichnas la'avodat kochavim mutar. The Mishnah said that when you have a meat that entered the house of idol worshipper before its sacrifice is permitted. So the Gemara asks a question, Man Tana, who is the one who holds? Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, דלא כרבי אליעזר. כרבי אליעזר אמר, סתם מחשבת עובדת כוכבים לעבודת כוכבים. He assumed that stam, the regular unspecified intention of idol worshipper is for the purpose of idol worshipper. So therefore, we assume, you see it more in the Mishnah both, in Chulin 38b and Chulin 13, that's basically, you see it more in the Rambam. The Rambam said, I'm quoting from Koren edition, the Rambam, Ilchot Machalot Asurot chapter 11, you see it also in Yoredea chapter 2, he says, idol worshipper is not assumed to slaughter animals for the sake of idol worship, and therefore one may not derive benefit from such animals. By contrast, wine touched by an idol worshipper is suspected of having been used for idolatry, and therefore one is prohibited to even derive benefit from it. The Mishnah continue, Vayotze asur neshu kezivchei metim. So if you have a meat that come out of a house of idol worshipping, it is prohibited because we treat it the same as a korban metim. So the idea of the korban metim, it's offering to idol. Idol was somehow dead. You see it in few places that use the same. So my tama. So here we ask a question, since they entered to idol worshipper and they stayed there in that time, so if the leika tikrovet over kochavim, you assume that for sure they did it. Mani, to whom this Mishnah follow, Rabbi Yehuda ben Meterai, that he derived hekesh, a comparison between idol worshipping and dead. The Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda ben Meterai אומר מנין תרכובת עבודת כוכבים שמטמא באוהל שנאמר ויצמדו לבעל פועל ואכלו זבחי מתים. So he basically said that the same was the dead body, corpse, impart ritual impurity by mean of tent, the same is idol worshipper, is the same. So therefore, Rabbi Meteora hold that just as prohibited to derive benefit from a corpse, the same way as we are prohibited to derive benefit from idolaters' offering. Then the Mishnah said, "Ha'holchim letarput asur levatet lehem." People who go to a place at the festival of idol worshipper, so you can do business with them. But those who return, it's a different story. You can do it. אמר שמואל עובד כוכבים לתרפות בהליכה אסור. דאז ללמוד כמה עובד כוכבים. When he goes there, he thanks these idols, so it's prohibited to do business with him. בחזרה מותר, מאן דאהבה אהבה. But when he comes back, it's okay because it's already he has already finished his worship, and refraining from engaging, they would do business, they accomplish nothing. So here's the word of the Rambam in Sefer Ramadai Ilchot Avodah Zarah chapter 9. It is prohibited to engage in business with idol worshipper on the way to festival of idolatry, but it is permitted upon the return. that basically follow the view of Shmuel. Nevertheless, the practice is to permit engaging in business with idol worshipper in both cases for various reasons. See it more in Yomi 148. Israel הולך לתרבות. So here, if you have a fellow Jew that go unfortunately to idol worshipper, so they said, בהליכה מותר מהדר בי ולא אזל, בחזרה אסור. So if you go there, so you assume that maybe he changed his mind, back it out. But when you return, you cannot do business with him. Upon return, it's prohibited. בחזרה אסור, כיוון, page 33, דאביק בה מהדר בה, הדר אזל. And unfortunately, this person, avak, is like tremendously connected. So he come back and worship idolatry again. So the Meforshim explain, you see it in the Meiri, you see it in others, Tosfot Rabbeinu Elchanan and others, they said that people were not idol worshippers and became a fellow Jew that never idol worship, and now all of a sudden he tried, only because of because of this big Yetzer Hara, to be more religious and more strict than regular idol worshipper. So you learn regular that regardless if you go or come back, it's prohibited. המרבשי כתניא היא בישראל מומר, זה ודאי יאזיל, ודאי אזיל. So he said that it's different. He explained, המרבשי over there, כתניא היא, over there in הברייתא, בישראל משומד או בישראל מומר. So it's an apostate Jew who will certainly go to the festival and will certainly not change his mind. So that's, we treat this mumar, this apostate Jew, the same as idol worshipper. We assume that he will continue this bad way, and therefore we can go to the extreme, which is prohibited to do business both when he go and upon his return. We'd like to conclude with the Rambam Ilchot Avodah Zarah, chapter 9, Shulchan Aruch Yomi 148. It is permitted to do business with a Jew who is traveling to a festival of idolatry, but prohibited when he is returned from it. If he is an apostate, which is Meshumad, Mumar, it is prohibited in both cases.